Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Up All Night, an Are You Afraid of the Dark podcast. My name is Courtland, and with me is the best attic spelunker I've ever seen, Brandon. How you doing, Brandon?
Hey, Courtland. I'm doing good, thanks.
That's awesome, man. We just got done watching episode 6, The Tale of the Super Specs.
Ooh, yeah.
That was a good episode.
You thought?
No, I didn't care for it too much, actually.
I wouldn't say I loved this episode, but I liked it.
I think I'm in the same ballpark as you. It's kind of like Tale of the Hungry Hounds for me. There were some things I did enjoy about it, some things I really did not. So did you have a good week?
Pretty good, yeah. I picked up Red Dead Redemption 2 after not playing it for like 6 months now.
Oh yeah, how do you like it?
And well, the game is really great.
Yeah.
I've been having an issue lately where I keep killing my horse on accident, just constantly. I've
That's
had the
not
same horse throughout the entire game, and we've been through some shit. We've seen some adventures. We've gone through all sorts of things, and I'll just be riding through the woods and trip on a little pebble, and that horse will flip the fuck over and break his spine. And I just have to turn my PS4 off and turn it back on.
Off to the glue factory with it?
Yeah, I'm not letting that shit autosave, so...
So, did they, update it to make it more, realistic, I guess?
I don't know. The game was always, really realistic in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's true. I did see screenshots and stuff.
The horse spine physics are just something you gotta watch out for. So what have you been up to this week?
Well, this week I bought the Mega Man collection. So it was
awesome.
Yeah, right? It was like $50, and it's, Mega Man 1 through 11, and then Mega Man X through X8.
That's more Mega Man than anyone ever needs.
I know, right? It is a lot of Mega Man. So I played through Mega Man 1 and 2 so far, and it has this incredible feature. I don't know if it was in it from the start or if they added it, but you can rewind. So,
ooh, I like that.
Yeah, as a 30-year-old man, I don't have time to just fucking die and remember patterns and all that nonsense, so
no,
the rewind feature is awesome. I love it. Do you want to dive into this episode, I guess?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we just got done watching The Tale of the Super Specs. So overall, I thought the episode was interesting, I guess, is the word that I want to use.
Yeah. I'd say it wasn't a great episode, but unlike Tale of the Hungry Hounds, I was entertained the whole time.
Yeah, I guess. The whole episode can be summed up by the girl character putting on and taking off the sunglasses the whole episode.
I guess I just really enjoyed her putting on those glasses.
She
never got old.
Those glasses were ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's definitely a different episode from all of the ones that we've seen so far. It's not so much like a straight horror, but it's more like a psychological horror, kind of.
Yeah.
If you get into the nitty-gritty of it, really. So this episode starts out unlike any of the other previous episodes we've had. It doesn't start around the campfire. It starts with Gary and Kristen, and they're in a magic or a joke shop or something like that. And Gary pretends to chop his finger off with a guillotine. Or is it guillotine?
It's guillotine.
Oh, okay.
You gotta say it French. Guillotine.
Oh, yeah.
Petit rouge.
Mon petit teen. Kristen... Oh, I put Kristen buys it, but she doesn't buy anything. She just, gets spooked by it, you know?
Yeah.
Gary laughs.
Why is she even in there?
I don't know. It's like Gary... Well, there is the reason. She has to deliver that heart-shattering news to Gary, but for now, Gary doesn't know anything about that, and he laughs.
She went out of her way, drove to another town.
Yeah.
On her bike.
At another school district.
In another state.
Yeah. So, Gary's laughing at Kristen because she fell for it, and Kristen calls him a sick puppy, which, also known as a sick fuck.
Yeah. I liked this opening.
I like getting bits from the Midnight Society, you know? It's kind of like an overarching story, and I like that.
Yeah, this scene really expanded the lore of the Midnight Society.
Yeah, it's not just a campfire. They also have a magic shop.
I didn't know they were allowed to interact outside of the campfire.
Yeah, they are. It turns out that Gary's dad owns this magic shop, so Gary says that this is where he gets all of his ideas for his stories, just from the weird shit that his dad buys.
Yeah, I'm not sure how. Looking around the shop, you're gonna get a scary story from like a paper mache spider.
Well, he does get this story from them super specs that they sell.
Yeah, it's not the best story.
At this point, I'm like, okay, so we're gonna get a Gary story, and he's right.
I was excited.
I was too.
He's the leader, so I was like, oh, his stories are gonna be the scariest.
Yeah,
ones.
They're gonna be the most dope.
How else did he ascend to the throne of King of the Midnight Society?
Well, the kids kind of wonder that too, because Kristen then shits on Gary by saying that some of the guys, aka Frank and Eric, they think that his stories aren't scary, which means, the whole reason that they have this Midnight Society is to tell scary stories. So if his stories aren't scary, then that means that they suck.
Yeah, they want to start a mutiny.
Yeah. I took a picture of this, but the look on Gary's face, he genuinely looks sad.
Yeah, I put that in my notes that he looks like he's about to cry.
He does. I took a picture of it, so.
I thought it was a bit weird to have Kristen delivering this news, considering she just told the least scary story.
I know!
Last
thought that.
week.
She's like, after my tale of the Hungry Hounds got rave reviews, everybody thinks your stories are stupid. Maybe it's because he hasn't told a story in over a month now. That could be it.
It's like, Gary, you need to add more slow-walking people in your stories. Repeating the same things over and over again, like moi.
Yeah, you gotta bring props. Oh, well, he does bring props this time, I guess, but he doesn't unleash them until the end, so never mind. So Gary looks really hurt about this news. He asks who's been saying that, and Kristen doesn't seem to want to say it, and then she immediately deflects it and just picks up these glasses, asking, well, what are these? And it turns out they're super specs, as Gary just happily tells her, like his mood 180s, and he's like, oh, these are super specs, Kristen. They give you x-ray vision.
No, people are talking shit about me? No, these are super specs. Let's just forget about that.
So Gary puts on those super specs, looks at Kristen's boobs, and then he says,
whoa, yowza.
Give me a break.
And it was very inappropriate. It's the first of a few incredibly inappropriate things that happen in this episode.
Yeah, there's some sexual harassment.
There's some terrible things. So Kristen's like, give me a break. And Gary's like, what's the matter? You don't believe in magic? And he looks right at her boobs. It does this close-up of his hand with the super specs in him, and then there's just this poof of smoke and that covers his hands, and then the glasses are gone, and nobody talks about that, and it just cuts to the Midnight Society.
Yeah. There's so much smoke in this show.
There is. There's a lot.
There's always smoke coming out of chests or under doors.
You know what? We forgot to mention something about Tale of the Hungry Hounds that I can't believe we missed. When Pam puts on the jacket and buttons it, her first button, the second that she turns into Dora, like the stink of smoke just like just out of her. And it's super funny, and I can't believe we missed it.
Wow. We are terrible.
I know. You guys should go listen to any other podcast.
Go talk about the podcast that talks about the poof of smoke.
Do you think anybody's going to make a podcast that talks about our podcast? That'd be incredible.
Maybe if we make another podcast.
That'd be like we would have to do it.
Yeah.
That's the next podcast idea, is talking about Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah, we review this podcast episode by episode.
That'd be great.
I think this one is getting a 2 stars so far.
Yeah, it's pretty shitty. So we cut to the Midnight Society, and Kiki's in these sweet overalls. I love them.
Yeah, pretty good.
Frank's got his classic Frank denim vest on.
Frank's trying very hard to look like AC Slater from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. He is. He's in this sweet denim vest, and he's just talking this mad shit about how he thinks Gary's stories are slipping.
Yeah, they're just fucking roasting this guy.
They are, and I don't even know why.
Considering the last couple of stories, Lonely Ghost and the Hungry Hounds, and even the Twisted Claw to an extent, like, none of these stories are really scary.
No, they're not.
Like, Betty Ann had probably the scariest story so far.
Like, what could Gary be telling these kids then? He hasn't had this is the first story that we get from him. We're over a month in. We're assuming that they have a weekly meeting. So it's a month and a half in. This is episode 6. And they're trying to say that Gary's stories are like not scary when we got Kristen's bullshit nonsense and Frank's fucking buzz voices and Betty Ann laughing like a clown. I don't know.
Hey, Betty Ann's story was okay, and she's the only one who sticks up for Gary.
I know.
She says his stories are the best.
Yeah, you know what? Betty Ann is probably like the most bestest. Is that a word? It's not.
Betty Ann's my favorite.
Yeah, in fact, next up, Betty Ann slips in and she tells Frank to shut the fuck up. And everybody else just kind of is like, yeah, mm-hmm. Even though later on they turn on Gary, too. The camera goes into this first-person view. You can see through the trees, looks at the group of the kids surrounded by the campfire. Gary whispers something about now, and then it's like, no, not yet. We're not sure what's going on. Obviously, this is going to pay off in the end, so for now we have to forget about it. Because then we shift over to Kiki, who gets up while saying, Frank's right, I can't remember the last time Gary scared me. She turns and immediately bumps into and is scared by Gary.
Yeah, she has her arms held out like for a hug when she bumps into him.
She is, Kiki, instant karma is displayed a lot with Kiki for some reason. Like, she's like, oh, fucking Kristen's stupid, and then she burns her fingers off. And now she's like, Gary's...
Because she's the most outspoken and loudest member of the gang. She says exactly what's on her mind.
So does Frank, though. Why doesn't Frank get, like, this treatment?
Well, Frank has to live with the fact that he's Frank, which is a worse punishment than anything I can imagine.
I don't know. He's got them sweet denim vests.
You're right. I was just trying to make things better, but Frank's cool. He's got that
he's
vest.
He's dope as fuck.
What can I say? Yeah. He's fresh.
Gary apologizes for being late, even though he just told the group the last episode that he was going to implement a rule for people being late.
Yeah.
And also that David is sick, so he's not going to be there.
This kind of hypocrisy is why they need to dethrone Gary.
Damn. Who's going to be in charge then? Eric? He's only 3 years old.
Eric doesn't have the chops.
Yeah, he's too young for this. He's only 3. So, David's sick. Eric tells Gary that it's fine, but Kiki was just saying about how much your stories suck. And Kiki threatens him with physical violence. But Gary just kind of laughs and tells him, why don't you give me a shot tonight then? I'll see what I can do. He says that the story is about 3 kinds of people. Those that believe in magic, those that don't, and those that should. I don't know if that's true, though.
I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
I don't think any of these people in this story believe in magic.
No?
I'd say that this is more so about 2 kinds of people. Those that don't believe in magic and those that should, which in this case would be the same people. So, it's about 1 kind of peoples, and they don't believe in magic but should.
I'd say this story is about 1 kind of person, people who are aware of magic.
Yeah.
But suck at it.
Yeah, yep. I like it. Okay, so the tale starts, the tale of the super specs. It starts in what appears to be a gag/magic shop, just exactly like what the beginning of the episode showed us. Pans over some items like some chattering teeth, like bottles of sand with other colored glitter in them. It's got this sweet skull mug. I'd buy that. And then some tarot cards. And it pans over a couple of pairs of super specs, too. Gary tells us that April Fool's Day is coming up, and Weeds is real into magic and has to prepare. It took me a really long time.
Fuck
I know.
is Weeds?
Yeah, it took me a long time to figure out that his name was Weeds, too. Because I was like, is it Ouija again? What is this?
Who is naming these characters? Buzz? Ouija? Weeds?
Well, in this case, it's Gary. Or I guess the show's producers. Weeds grabs a bag and says it's powdered monkey bones. And, there's this weird music that plays, right? Throughout the whole episode.
The music is very weird. Every scene. Weird music.
Yeah, I kind of like it, though. It's like, it reminds me of the music that happens in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild when you're fighting, like, the robotic enemy.
Oh, shit, you're right.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of.
It's just, like, weird.
It's, like, robotic-y, like, techno-y, robotic-y, kind of. I dug it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was just incredibly weird.
Yeah, and it happens all the time throughout the whole episode. Normally it happens like when they put the specs on and whatever. So his friend, who is also his girlfriend, is bored and expected them to go see a movie. And he's like, chill, baby, I got spells to cast. And he looks at a book and says, here it is.
Did you notice that these two characters are dressed the same way that Gary and Kristen were at the beginning?
No, I didn't even notice. Like, I noticed that Mary Beth, that was her name, right?
Yes.
I referred to her as MB the whole time because they didn't say what her name was until like 15 minutes in.
Yeah, Mary Beth.
Okay. I liked what Mary Beth was wearing, but I didn't notice that they were wearing the same stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very similar. Like, they were both wearing a bandana in their hair and a flower top, but they were slightly different. And both boys were wearing a polo shirt, but different colors.
That's interesting. I like that. That's cool. You want to? We should probably describe the characters, I guess, huh? So Weez is the first like African American character that we've had on the show so far. Well, I guess he could be African Canadian, right? I don't know. Maybe we should say black.
I think we just say black now.
Okay. Yeah, he's the first black character that we've had on the episode. I think he's pretty cool. I would like him. I mean, he's when he's not playing pranks on people, I should say. Seems like a pretty cool guy.
He's alright. He is initially set up to be the main character of the episode, but he's not really.
No, he's quickly dethroned by MB, also known as Mary Beth, who's just a kind of a typical white girl. I thought it was pretty cool that there was this interracial couple. So Weeds grabs a bag and says it's powdered monkey bones. The weird music starts playing, and his friend, who's his girlfriend's, bored and expected them to go see a movie. And he's like, chill, baby, I got spells to cast. He looks at a book and says, here it is, the spell of the second sight. I don't know why you would pick that spell. It doesn't sound very fun, but whatever. He says the incantation, which all the incantations in this episode are just complete gibberish.
Yeah.
They're just like, and it's
oh shit, you just cast a spell.
We're doomed. And then he just puts his hand in the bag and just throws a bunch of the monkey bone powder everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
You just go into a shop and throw powder everywhere? What the hell, man?
I don't know. Hey, do you think that this monkey bone powder is the same shit that they throw into the fire before they start their episodes, the Midnight Society?
God, I hope so.
I mean, I guess it would make sense that Gary, being the leader, would be the one to supply the monkey bone powder that they throw into the fire.
Yeah, he's single-handedly funding his dad's business.
So the powder gets all over these super specs that we've seen, which they shimmer like a rainbow, which means, magic happened.
Yeah. Powers.
Yeah. Weeds giggles, and his girlfriend asks what he's doing. Obviously, Mary Beth, he just cast a fucking spell. Come on, just casted spells here, baby.
Yeah. How long have they been together? She knows he's a fucking wizard.
I think that this part was stupid. They've been together for 2 weeks. Like, it doesn't have any bearing on the story whatsoever. I think it would have been cooler if they had been together for, like, at least a year. That'd be cool.
That'd be like a tenth of their life.
I would say that these kids are probably, like, sophomores in high school. Maybe juniors, but probably not. So Mary Beth tells Weeds that she thinks that he's kind of immature, and he fake farts in response with a whoopee cushion.
Mm-hmm.
It was stupid.
Look, they've been together 2 whole weeks. She knows what she's gotten herself into.
She hasn't even begun to know. So she wants to get out of there, but a new character pops up. His name is Sardo.
Yeah, this Liberace-looking motherfucker.
What do you think about Sardo, besides what you just said?
I love Sardo.
I loved him too. He was the best part of the episode.
He's great.
I mean, I feel like we do this a lot. There's a lot of best parts of the episode. He's definitely the most entertaining part of the episode, I would say.
He, from frame 1 that he's in, is just chewing every inch of that scenery.
Yeah. Love it.
It is fantastic.
I'm glad you say that, because guess what?
What?
He's going to be in more than one episode as
Yes!
Sardo. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just like Vink, he's in multiple episodes.
I mean, considering the ending of this episode, I wonder how that's going to work, but...
We'll yeah. I mean, they just retcon it, if that's a thing for these. So, at this point, you might have noticed that, like, each kid has kind of, like, a style of their episodes. I believe, like, Vink will primarily show up in the Frank episodes. Sardo is going to appear mostly in the Gary episodes. Kristen brings her fucking props. David has sweet stories. I guess we haven't had a Kiki or Eric story yet, have we?
No.
And I don't really know what Betty Ann's, like, thing going forward is, but I don't know. We got seasons to... every episode is a clown episode for Betty Ann.
Kristen just stopped showing up on Betty Ann days.
Yeah, those are the days she's got diarrhea. I was thinking about something new we could add to at the end. You know how, like, you hear the episode story or the episode title, and you kind of guess what the episode's going to be about? Yep. I was thinking maybe we could add that, just do like a fun little guess at who's going to be telling the story too. Is that too much?
Okay. I don't know.
It's kind of like a guess in the dark, I guess. Some of the titles are pretty vague.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll try it. We'll see what happens.
All right.
If the fans hate it, we'll take it out. Right?
No.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We're going to do what the fuck we want. This is our podcast. So Sardo tells the kids to buy his shit or leave. And then he gives his catchphrase, which is, because they're like, "Oh, Mr. Sardo, please, we love your store." And he says his catchphrase, which is that Sardo, no Mr. accent on the dough. So if you hate that line, too bad. He says it all the time.
He doesn't mention the powder all over the shop, does he?
No, I don't. Maybe he didn't notice it somehow. He hasn't really looked at his wares that they threw powder over, so...
No, he was just hanging out in the back anyway. He wasn't even paying attention to what's going on in the front.
No, and he doesn't have any other employees.
And any other customers, so...
Probably no surveillance system either. This place is just a gold mine for thieves.
Why does the shop even exist? Who's coming here?
90s kids. There's no internet, man. There's nothing. The only other place that they could hang out is the arcade.
So there's just kids going in like, "Whoa, chattering teeth, bro.
Whoa, fake vomit." Yeah, also it's, like I said in the beginning, it is pretty close to April Fool's Day, so it's probably a pretty big time for Mr. Sardo.
Oh, yeah. That's like his Christmas.
Yeah. I meant to say Sardo.
He's
going to be so mad at me.
Do people really, like, prepare for April Fools? It said in the beginning that Weeds likes pranks, so he's there to prepare.
Yeah.
Like, isn't April Fool's just something where you're like, "Hey, what time is it? It's 11 o'clock. Just kidding, it's 10:30. April Fools." Like, it's just dumb shit.
Yeah, I know, I agree with you. I never prepared. I would never buy something for it. That's dumb. So Weeds wants to buy a few things to stock up for April Fool's Day, including the monkey bone powder And Sardo offers up some fake vomit, but Weeds doesn't want that shit. He picks up instead these amazing super specs and wants to know what they are. That music starts playing again, and Sardo explains that they are X-ray vision, saying he sold thousands of them. Thousands of these ugly fucking glasses. I call bullshit.
I'm doubting him.
Weeds puts them on and looks at his girlfriend's boobs and says, "Yowza," just like Gary did.
Gary was like, I'm going to add that.
Yeah, he really does take inspiration from everything that happens in his dad's magic shop.
Remember when I made my friend feel really uncomfortable? I'm going to add that to my story.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so Weeds wants those glasses, and he tells his girlfriends to put them on. And she's like, "No, I wouldn't wear those to my funeral." Why would you wear those to a funeral?
Well, her own funeral?
I get the gist of it. Like, it's basically saying I wouldn't be caught dead wearing them. But why wouldn't you just say I wouldn't be caught dead wearing them?
I don't know.
At this point, Weeds calls her MB, which we later find out stands for Mary Beth. But MB puts them on, and she sees a figure in, like, a black morph suit. It stares at her. She takes the glasses off, and she's just like, "What was that?" And she looks around without the glasses on, but the dude's gone. Then Weeds smooches his baby on the cheeks, and the scene changes. We're now outside, and some dude does like a bunch of sweet backflips.
Yeah.
It's not really backflips.
Some pretty sweet stuff.
I don't know. Is that considered a backflip? I guess so.
Backflip, cartwheel.
Yeah,
whatever.
like backwards cartwheels. Anyway, it's incredible, but we don't really look at it much because the camera just pans over to Weeds, who is reading a voodoo book under a tree. And then he stops reading.
This kid's weird.
I feel like he would be a lot cooler if it wasn't April Fool's and he wasn't super into this shit because, yeah, he's weird.
Yeah, he's just the weird kid at school who sits under trees reading voodoo books and throws powder at people.
Yeah, at people, in shops, on
How
basketballs.
does he have any friends?
I don't know. He's got two if you count his girlfriend. 2 friends. He stops reading and he smiles and he just kind of slowly turns his head, and then the camera is pointing at these 2 kids studying or something. Their lunch is just like all in a mess all over the place. There's like a banana over there, a fucking yogurt opened up over there.
Yeah, it's 2 girls wearing matching shirts.
Maybe they're besties.
They're not sisters or anything.
No, they're not.
They're just wearing matching shirts. Like Gary couldn't think of 2 different types of shirts as he's describing it to the Midnight Society. He's like, and this girl was wearing a pink flower shirt. And the other girl, also that.
Yeah. So Weeds grabs their open container of yogurt. He moves back behind the tree, takes out his bag of monkey bone dust, and sprinkles it into the yogurt while saying some voodoo spell. And then he stirs it up and places it back over where he found it. You can't
Pretty
do
sure
that.
You can go to jail for this kind of shit.
Yeah, this is... I mean, I guess it's just like a time capsule of shit, but, you know, with all of, like, the date rape stuff going into people's drinks and whatever at the bars, and you can't do this. You can't sprinkle shit in people's food.
What if this girl is allergic to monkey bones?
Yeah, I know. It's just... This is probably my... I was like, this cannot be happening. They can't do this.
But he does.
I think it's so bad that if they were to re-air this show, I don't think they would do this episode because of that, or at least edit this out. So he sprinkles this shit in their yogurt, stirs it up, casts a spell on it, and gives it back to the girl. But he gets caught, right? He gets pulled out by the girls. They call him stupid.
They're not wrong.
They're not. They call him stupid, and one of the girls just instantly starts eating that yogurt. Like, it's like, you're an idiot. Weeds looks on.
Get out of here, Weeds.
Weeds looks on in anticipation, but nothing is happening. He says the powder was a ripoff and just walks away.
Yeah, she eats the yogurt And he waits like 1 second, and she doesn't die, and he's disappointed.
Yeah, he's... The girls ask what's up with him, and the yogurt-eating bitch is like, who knows? But her voice is all high-pitched, like she sucked in some helium, and she says, my voice! What's wrong with my voice? And she says, I sound like a chipmunk! And when this happened...
Who knows? He's always... My voice. What's wrong with my voice? I sound like a chipmunk.
I had to stop, and I had to get up, and I had to just laugh. So stupid.
What kind of fucking spell is that?
I don't know. What was he looking up in that voodoo
What
book?
voodoo fucking priestess is like, here's the chipmunk spell.
Oh my gosh.
Shit.
Yeah, I had to pause it, and I had to get up, because I couldn't handle it anymore. I had to... Oh my god, it was so ridiculous. Whew. So we shift over to inside a school's hallway where Weeds, with the super specs on, watches some kid open up his locker. And the kid does, and is just punched in the face by a spring-loaded trap.
Yes, great prank. Just punch someone in the face.
Just
haha.
Drug a girl, punch somebody else in the face. Weeds comes up laughing to the kid, who wonders why he's got on those stupid glasses. MB grabs them, because she comes out of nowhere. And she grabs them, saying that they make him look cool. And then she puts them on. And she sees another figure in all black, who's just reading a book. She takes him off, the figure's gone. She says she saw a woman in black. Weeds and this white kid are like, yeah, okay, April Fools. But MB, she seems pretty creeped out by it.
Yeah, she seems creeped out by it, but she just keeps putting the glasses on constantly.
Yeah, if she just never put the glasses on again...
She could just live her entire life being like, yeah, there's shadowy figures around, but whatever.
Yeah, like,
who cares?
It's not like they're interacting with her. I mean...
No, they don't do anything.
No. School's over. Weeds and MB walk outside bickering about how he doesn't believe in her over the people in black figure thing. And he's like, okay, April Fool's is over. There's no magic, yada yada. So while she's saying every time she puts these stupid specs on, she sees the figures, she's putting the specs on and she sees the figures, stops mid-sentence because, of course, she sees another figure in black. Weeds puts the glasses on and looks, but he doesn't see anything for some reason. MB puts them back on. The woman in black is there again, and she's pointing at her this time. And then MB screams and throws the glasses away.
And her scream is cut off. Did you hear that?
I did, yeah. I wondered what was up with that.
She's like... and then it just cuts.
And then she's just throwing the glasses away. So Weeds and the white kid, who we never get the name of, are just playing some hoops. Weeds is losing, so he sprinkles some monkey bone dust on his basketball and utters some more gibberish. His friend hears it and is like, what are you saying over there?
He's like, oh, just rubbing my anthrax on this ball, dog.
I gotta win somehow.
He just got this giant bag of powder all the time with him.
Yeah. Well, today, anyway, yeah. He's super into April Fools, man. He's got to get that powder up on everything. So Weeds dribbles the ball a bunch of times, saying that this next shot will be all net, but he misses it completely, and now he owes his friend 2 sodas.
Damn.
He throws the ball behind his head as they're walking away, and it makes it into the hoop, almost like magic. Perhaps maybe some monkey bone does magic?
Nah.
The kids say that in unison for no real reason, because they never talk about it being magic.
Yeah, did the other kid even know that he sprinkled the powder and set a spell?
I don't think so, because I didn't put it in my notes.
So he was just like, nah, there's no possible way a ball went into a hoop.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it happens. Statistically, it's gonna happen sometimes.
Yeah. I've done it before. I'm Magic, Brandon.
Nah.
Ah, you're right. Next up, MB is talking to, I think it's the same girl that was next to Basic White Yogurt Bitch.
Yeah, one of the flower shirt girls.
Yeah.
The one who's currently not in the hospital for chipmunk voice.
Yeah. The one who wasn't sent to a fucking mental institution because
she's in the ER right now, and they're operating on her larynx.
So MB's telling this girl about how who ditched her other friend because her voice is stupid now. He's telling her about how she saw people with the glasses on. So MB says that maybe it's just a trick from Weeds, and that for their 1 week anniversary, he bought her a weird book on mummies, and she's about to like pull it out of her bag, but she ends up finding that the super specs are back in her backpack, the ones that she threw away.
Yes. It's like in The Mask when Jim Carrey throws the mask out and then it comes back.
It's exactly like that. I don't know why, though. It doesn't make any sense to me, because I was thinking about it, and I was like, why is Mary Beth the one that gets to see this stuff? Because Weeds sprinkled the powder on everything, said his magic gibberish, but he was the first one to put the glasses on, so why wouldn't it be attached to him, if that's how it works?
Yeah, and the spell is the spell of second sight, not the spell of cursed with glasses.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. Or anybody, I'm assuming. It certainly doesn't make sense to Mary Beth, because she races over to Sardo's magic shop and slips the glasses through this little tiny mail delivery slot door and just kind of walks away. It's the quickest scene that we've ever had in this show. She just walks up to the envelope door, slips the glasses in, and that's it. That's the whole scene. It takes maybe like 3 seconds.
That's all you need, baby.
So then the next scene, we're shown Mary Beth's house, presumably. I'm assuming it's her house at this point. It ends up being her house. She's got like a sweet fireplace, a brick wall, and just a shit ton of copper pots and pans as decoration lining this wall. It's weird. I'm assuming that their parents are chefs or something. MB calls out to see if anyone's home, which of course nobody is. I mean, this is Are You Afraid of the Dark here. There's barely any parents.
No parents. They're not allowed.
In fact, if there's any grown-ups in general, they're usually psychopaths. So MB reaches into this super awesome cheetah cookie jar and grabs a cookie.
Yeah.
That thing
I
is
liked
dope.
the cookie jar, but the cookie itself looked disgusting.
It did, yes. I would totally want that cookie jar, but not the cookie.
Yeah. If that's what that cookie jar does to cookies, no thanks.
It like sucked all the chocolate chips out of it. She holds the cookie in her mouth while she's unloading her school bag, and then the music starts playing again, and she drops the cookie from her mouth because she finds the super specs are in her bag again. She kind of sets them on the counter, looks really pissed about it for a couple frames, and then after a few seconds she ends up putting them on.
Yeah, I'd be thinking, okay, these super specs were in the garbage.
Yeah.
With old Band-Aids and banana peels.
Didn't even think of that. She should have washed them.
She just puts them right on her face.
And it's in like a high school garbage bin, no less. So it's probably even worse. Kids spitting in it and stuff. Gross. So she just puts those on, and she looks over to her stovetop and sees that there's a tea kettle, which isn't there when she takes the glasses off.
I gotta say, it's at this point that I thought, you know what? Maybe Frank has a point about Gary.
That his stories aren't scary?
The tale of the phantom teapot isn't really making me shake in my little booties.
The weird thing that I found about this teapot is that when she has the glasses on, she can hear like the whistle of the teapot, saying that the water's heated up or whatever the fuck teapots do. I don't know. I'm not British.
Right.
And when she takes them off, she can't hear it anymore. So do the glasses like control her audio sensory too?
She's hearing it through her eyes, Courtland.
I wish I could do that. No, I don't. That'd be awful. Nah, whatever. It's the same fucking thing.
Just
it's all in the
sprinkle
general
monkey bones in your eyes. Grind it in your eyes, and you'll hear all sorts of things.
Don't you think selling monkey bone dust would be a little unethical?
I mean, yeah, maybe. But Sardo.
He's an unethical motherfucker. Is what that
He
is.
does what he's got to do to get that paper.
She moves her hand through this tea kettle, like it's kind of like a hologram, and then she just kind of moves on. She's like, whatever.
I mean, it's a teapot. How exciting is it?
It's not exciting at all. I hate tea. She looks into the fire. I do.
Yeah, it sucks.
Next, she moves over to her fireplace, which is lit with a roaring fire when the specs are on, and she says, "Aw, man."
I put that in my notes. It was so funny.
It's really
Just the way she
weird.
says
Why
it.
would you say that?
I don't know.
It's so weird.
There's quite a few weird deliveries in this episode.
Yes.
The acting's generally pretty good, but just some of the way the
thought so,
lines
too.
are said are just baffling.
Sardo's really great. For the most part, Mary Beth is pretty good too. And Weeds is alright. And I don't know about White Kid. I don't know. He's not in it enough.
He's a white kid.
Basic White Yogurt Girl was pretty good. So she looks at the fire and says, "Aw, man." And then she moves on to her living room. And at this point, when she's moving into the living room, the music gets saucier. I love it. And as she's panning around, we're given a first-person perspective as she makes her way through her hallway. The music is just getting even more spicy, and she into her bedroom.
Something crazy's gonna happen.
Exactly, right? Because into her bedroom, she steps in there, and the first thing she does is she sees a person in black and screams, which I guess
It's
is
a good question.
it is, yeah.
Who the hell are these
Who are you?
people?
And then it points at her. She swivels around and she sees two other dudes, and then she screams for like 5 entire seconds until the commercial break happens. Hey there, everybody. Courtland here, your best buddy and your brother from another dimension. Thank you so much for checking out the 6th episode of our Are You Afraid of the Dark podcast covering the Super Specs. And I hope everybody did have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Today being Memorial Day for me. I just figured out how to record these closer to the day that they actually air. So hopefully things can be more up to date from now on in these little interludes, if you will. I'd like to keep this one pretty short and sweet. If you haven't done so already, be sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at PrivateIsland. We just surpassed 50 followers just a few days ago. It's really exciting. I have been really enjoying interacting with people on Twitter. It's a lot more fun than I thought that I would have. We are also on Instagram. That's at PrivateIsland Presents. Instagram is great because I get to post pictures that relate to the episode. So if you haven't seen it in a while, or if you've never seen it, it's a great way to be introduced to the characters that we're talking about. Usually I'll post something about the main characters so that you can get a visual representation of them. As well as we always make a GIF every week about usually our favorite parts of the episode, which are almost always hilarious. So you have to check that out. I probably post those on Twitter as well because they're just too good to pass up. If Brandon does any art for the week, it'll be posted on Instagram as well. So if you want to take a look at that, there's some right now for Phantom Cab as well as Lonely Ghost, and then whatever else Brandon whips up, that'll be posted on Instagram. So take a look there. And finally, you can email us. That is privateislandpresents@gmail.com with any stories or any interesting tidbits you have about Are You Afraid of the Dark. I'd love to hear about them. Maybe do a segment where we can talk about it on the podcast. That'd be awesome. As of right now, I still haven't gotten any emails from anybody, but feel free to send me them. Like I said, I would love that. That'd be incredible. Send me your emails. I want to hear them. I'd like to give a special shout out to All Hail the Badger for his excellent work on the music. And with that, I think I will let you guys get back to the episode, the Tale of the Super Specs, and I will talk to you guys in about a week. Have a good one. Bye. So when we get back from the commercial break, the two figures in their black morph suits are just walking a little bit towards Mary Beth, just casually. They're sauntering, pretty much.
Finally.
They're just kind of sauntering.
Some sauntering in this show.
I know. She takes the glasses off again, and they're gone. And she just kind of like keeps putting them on, taking them off. Like, are they there? Yep. Are they not there? Yep. So the black morph suit dudes are just kind of walking towards her still. The girl's still pointing at her, and then
just take the glasses off.
She just runs.
Take the glasses off. Go to your room.
Go
have
to
a
sleep.
sandwich.
Yeah, eat another fucking chipless cookie. She runs down the hall away from these people in black, and the camera like flips upside down. But now it's time for our Midnight Society interlude. Frank says that she should have burned the glasses or chucked them into the garbage disposal. Gary just smiles, and Betty Ann asks if the stuff she saw was really there. Well, Gary tells her that Mary Beth didn't know, and then he just kind of summarizes the story again and says that she went to go look for weeds.
Another pointless interlude.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it might have been the first time that we get to know that Mary Beth's name is Mary Beth, though, instead of just MB. I don't know. Weeds is playing basketball still with the white kid, and Mary Beth runs up to them spooked out, saying that when she puts the specs on, she sees, and she's cut off because, of course, at this point, she's putting the fucking specs back on, and she sees just a group of 6 black morph suit guys minding their own business, playing some ball.
Ah! How dare they have fun? Get some exercise.
Did you notice that the basketball they're using is also covered in black?
Yes.
Okay.
I love that.
I don't know why.
Why is the grass not black or the sky?
I don't know. These guys in the black morph suits are notice that she's staring at them, and they just kind of stop and they turn and they look kind of. I mean, they don't have any facial expressions, but they look kind of menacing. You know, they're all like grouped up, and the one is just dribbling the ball, and they're just kind of all like walking towards her. It keeps cutting back to MB, and then back to the B-ballers, and back and forth. It's kind of unnerving, I guess. They look menacing for not having any facial expressions or being able to see a face whatsoever, because these guys are like literally in a black morph suit. They did a good job at seeming intimidating. Maybe it's just because there's 6 of them, though, but
they just never seemed a threat to me the whole episode. They're either just walking or partaking in recreational activities.
Yeah, book reading, b-ball playing, pointing, yeah.
Existing.
MB screams, of course, and she runs the fuck out of there. All the people in the background of this basketball court don't care at all. They don't stop. Like, they're still playing frisbee and stuff. Like, the girl didn't just scream bloody murder. Next up, we're back at Sardo's shop, and it's closed again, which is weird. How does this guy have any business? I mean, this has got to be like... Is it still the same day after school?
I assume so.
Okay. Well, then maybe it's like 6 o'clock and he closed early. I mean, he is the only employee, I suppose. But he's actually in there, and he talks to Mary Beth through that mail slit again. He says he's out of vomit, go away. And she's like, no, it's about the specs we bought. He's like, all sales are final, but she says, but they work. And then they kind of exchange these looks through this tiny mail slot. Inside the shop, we get to see this really cool alien skull-looking statue thing. I like that.
Yeah, I want that.
I do too. It was pretty cool. And Sardo's got this giant magnifying glass. He's looking through his spell book. He laughs about summoning a plague onto the world. But then he finds a spell for Second Sight, which is the one that Weeds used on the specs. MB wants to know if this is why she's seeing the ghosts. And Sardo laughs at her again and explains that they're not ghosts, but they're beings from a different dimension.
How does he know?
I don't know, because while he's explaining this to MB, it sounds to me like he's just pulling it out of his ass the whole time.
It's not surprising.
Like, he's talking like he's making this shit up the whole time. He further explains that there are beings all around us all the time, but we can't see them because they're in another dimension. He says the spell must have opened up a window into her house. Why would it be in her house?
That doesn't make any sense.
If anywhere, it should be in the magic shop.
Right. I don't know why the whole spell has been attached to her anyway.
I don't know. Maybe the monkey dust got into her lungs or something while he was casting the spells. Who knows?
No, he did kind of just throw that shit all over the place.
He did. He threw it right in her face too. He says that the spell must have opened up a window in her house, and the specs allow her to see into a parallel universe. Once the window is open, beings can cross over into our dimension, and then he does a jump scare on her for some reason. And he says that they could take over, and this whole situation is very dangerous. She recommends that they go to her house and close the window, but Sardo says that they need an expert on counterspells. Luckily, Sardo can do counterspells, but he says he's quite expensive.
$50?
What?
All right, 20. But I'm losing on the deal.
Losing what?
He's losing money on it because he would normally charge $50.
Yeah, but he's not really losing money. It's not like he's got to buy supplies. And let's be honest, his time is useless.
It is useless. He is a fraud. So he's looking around for that monkey bone dust, but he sold the last one to Weeds, so they gotta go get that shit from Weeds, you know. But Weeds is about to flush this monkey dust because he thinks that it doesn't work. But thankfully, I don't know if I want to use the word thankfully, but Mary Beth does stop him.
Yeah, he was going to clog that toilet. For real. That's not an April Fool's prank.
So Sardo has this crystal ball in front of the book. He's just saying Alakazam a bunch of times. Mary Beth's okay, he's can we get this shit done, before my parents come home? And Sardo's I gotta concentrate, And he goes back to making some gibberish noises. It looks like he's trying to do a seance or something.
Yeah.
That's what the scene is looks to me.
He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just making it all up.
So Weeds doesn't buy any of this, even...
Which is weird, because he was the one who was into all this magic shit.
Yeah, he's the one that studied that voodoo book, front to...
Yeah, but he's
cover.
Trying to make MB feel all lame, come on, man, you're buying this?
She is buying it, too, because she's paying $20 for this nonsense.
All she wanted to do was go see a movie.
Yep, and instead, all of this shit happens. Weeds recognizes that Sardo's gibberish is the same spell he used, the spell of second sight, which it's gibberish. How did you recognize it?
I don't know.
Stupid. MB's hey, don't you need the dust? And Sardo grabs it and sprinkles it all over the crystal ball, and then the room goes dark, and they're floating around a space, just a black space. They're all freaked out. Sardo admits he's never done this before, and he tells Mary Beth to put on the specs. When she does, she just says, no, because they're just surrounded by black morph suit dudes. Just tons of them. And Weeds is getting all pissed off, telling her to take off the specs, and that she doesn't need them anymore because they can all see these black morph suit dudes now. Mary Beth begs Sardo to finish the spells to send him away. He finds the spell of the Cosmic Seal and starts reading it, gibberish again. MB sprinkles the powder everywhere and all the dudes vanish, and they're left in just a dark room with an echo now. Sardo congratulates himself as a light just shines above them, and behind him is two giant floating eyes, and Sardo screams,
Take the children!
And crawls under the table.
He's great.
He is. I like him a lot. He's pretty cool. The eyes speak to the kids and Sardo under the table, saying, you have tampered with the cosmic seal. Two universes cannot exist on the same plane. And then it begins casting its own spell, and a storm or something starts brewing up. The kids are being blown around by it. Beth screams them out, and they're back in Mary Beth's house. Weeds is all good job, MB, you closed the window. But nope, because out walks the girl in the black morph suit, who was pointing at MB the whole episode. The girl explains about the window, just like Sardo, and MB's what? A window? In my house? But that's the point of you guys being at their house.
These are different people.
These are different people?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Well, after the whole lightning thing,
Yeah.
when it cuts to the woman in black, the two kids that are there are different people.
You don't think that that's Weeds and Beth?
I mean, it's alternate universe Weeds and Beth, but they're different actors.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't even notice. I have to watch that again. Huh.
Yeah, it's like the alternate universe them.
Well, that changes the ending for me a little bit then. I'm not quite so upset about it.
Yeah, it's not a happy ending.
It's not, no. So the girl in black tells him that she closed the window, and she says, funny thing is, they were trying to get rid of you too. And Weeds asks if the guys in black are gone for good, and the girl's voice gets really, really deep, and she says she doesn't think they'll be bothering them anymore. And then we're shown that Weeds, Mary Beth, and Sardo are all just screaming, and they're stuck in a crystal ball or something as the girl in black laughs.
For all eternity.
I guess so. They're just stuck in crystal ball.
And they all lived happily ever after.
So you're saying that these people aren't the real Mary Beth and Weeds, and presumably Sardo, right?
Well, the people in the ball are the real Mary Beth and Weeds.
Oh.
And Sardo. They were trapped in the ball.
Okay. So then the scene fades into Kiki's face. She looks like a fucking idiot. And then it shifts to Eric's face, and then Betty Ann's. They all seem to have enjoyed the story. Kristen gives a basic summary of the story, saying two dimensions wanted to occupy the same space and the other universe won. And Gary agrees with that, saying the woman in black was just more powerful than Sardo, so she won.
No shit.
Yeah. Obviously, she's been reading the whole episode. She knows what she's doing. Kiki claims it to be a great story, and Gary explains why he was late. He got everyone a pair of the Super Specs for April Fool's Day. All the kids put them on, and everyone screams because they see a person dressed in a black morph suit, and it's David. Well, they run away, and then it's revealed that it's David. Kristen, David, and Gary all enjoy a victory, and Gary's back, baby. That's the episode.
Yeah. I'm surprised Kiki liked the story so much.
I'm surprised she understood what was going on. It seems pretty out there for Kiki. I mean, you remember back in do you remember back in Twisted Claw when she was like, so they each used 2 wishes? She's not the brightest bulb.
No.
So overall, what did you think about the story and all that?
I thought it was good. And I'm glad that we're finally getting to some stories that don't just have a happy ending.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like that not all the endings in the show are happy things. You know, you don't want to get into that kind of a pattern. People deserve to be actually scared about it. But I don't think that this episode itself is all that spooky.
No, the episode itself is not scary at all. Like, I couldn't imagine how bored I would be if I was sitting at that campfire hearing Gary describe, like, the tea kettle or the fire being there and not.
Yeah, or explaining Mary Beth just taking on and taking off the glasses 100 fucking times in this episode. I think that this episode could be scary, like if the black morph suit people were more menacing. I think it could be scary. Like the idea of it, I can understand it being scary.
But they weren't monsters. They were just people
dudes
from another dimension.
Yeah.
Presumably, those people in the other dimension would see her as a black figure.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that's how they see it too. I would like to think that that's how they see it.
That's my interpretation, yeah.
Okay. There's some things that I did like about this episode, like the acting and whatnot. But there was a lot of plot holes I felt in this one. Like, why did the glasses choose Mary Beth? Why was the window opened in her house? He did the second sight in Sardo's shop. It should be opened in Sardo's shop. Why didn't they just do that?
Yeah. Yeah, none of that made sense at all.
Who leaves their unopened yogurt, like, unattended? That's ridiculous. I don't know what else. Why did they say nah when they looked back and seen, like, the ball went through the hoop or whatever? That doesn't make sense.
Yes, sometimes balls go in hoops.
I feel like Gary was hanging around Kristen a little too much because both this story and Hungry Hounds just had a lot of inconsistencies. It just didn't make sense. I agree that this episode is better, but I think I understand why, as a child, I would turn the channel to this one. I think it's a little bit out there for kids.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big idea.
It is. Definitely.
I think it's been, I don't know if I've ever read anything that is based on the same thing, other dimensions where people are around you all the time. I've certainly thought of it before, but I can't remember where I've heard of it besides this. But I know
that's an idea I've heard before. This
cannot be the only, the first iteration of this type of scary story,
This episode itself is pretty based on other things.
It is.
We can't get through this episode without mentioning the movie They Live.
Yeah. See, I couldn't remember what it was called, but the only thing I could remember is that, was it Roddy Piper's in it?
Yes.
Yeah, and he says the line of, I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum, or whatever.
Yeah. And he fights with Keith David in an alley for 8 hours.
I've never seen the movie. Those are the only things I know about it. Looks like a good movie, though.
Yeah.
Basically, if you haven't...
Fun time.
I, as somebody that's never seen it, am going to explain it to any listeners that haven't ever seen it. Roddy Piper puts on these glasses and he sees aliens that are dressed like real people. Right? That's right?
Yep.
Okay.
Done.
All right. And then he decides to take them out all on his own. Or with help. I don't know. I've never seen the movie.
I've seen it once, 20 years ago, so...
And you didn't invite me?
I'm the expert.
So disappointed. So the ending, what we're assuming happens is that the real Mary Beth, Weeds, and Sardo are stuck in a crystal ball, and that the fakes are in their own dimension, right?
Yeah.
So do you think everybody, our entire dimension got stuck in that crystal ball and the other dimension just won, so all of those people get to inhabit the plane of existence?
No, I like to think it was just those three.
That's really unfortunate.
In prison forever.
So do you think if Weeds had successfully flushed the monkey bone dust, that this never would have happened?
Probably.
I like to think that too.
So, Weeds and MB's parents are just going to come home, and their kids are going to be gone, and there's going to be absolutely no sign of them, and they're never, ever going to get any kind of closure, ever.
And Mr. Sardo's shop is just going to get repossessed.
Yeah, but nobody went there anyway. Nobody will even notice for 3 years.
You're right, because those two kids were the only
April
ones.
Fool's Day, they'll go in for some vomit and be like, well, I guess it's closed.
You're like, oh yeah, Sardo's gone with those two kids. They probably would think that Sardo stole them two kids.
Yeah, probably.
So the Tale of the Super Specs. I think it was a pretty fitting name, but do you think there's any other ones that we could give it?
The Tale of the Yogurt Murder.
The Tale of the Open Window. That's pretty vague.
Yeah, the Tale of the Shitty Magician.
The Tale of Monkey Bone Dust.
The Tale of the Disgusting Cookie.
The Tale of the Black Morph Suits. I don't know. Those are some good alternate titles, I'd say. All right, Brandon. So the next episode is called The Tale of the Captured Souls. You hear that title, what do you think the episode's going to be about?
Can I change the answer to a better name for this episode?
Yeah, you can.
Because that pretty much describes what happened at the end of this episode perfectly.
Oh, you're right. That's a good point.
So, I think next episode, someone gets stuck in a crystal ball.
It's just going to be the sequel to the last episode.
Yeah, it's Kiki's episode, and she's going to be like, oh, somebody's stuck in a crystal ball, I think. And there's some super specs, probably. I'm not very original.
That's great. No, it's okay. That's funny though, because I remember this episode a little bit, and I'm like 99% sure that this is our first Kiki episode. So she did steal it. You know, we talked about that. How she's just gonna steal everybody's stories. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is a Kiki episode. I know we were gonna play the
great.
You know, we were gonna do a new game where you had to guess whose it was, but I'd say that you already did. So good job,
Nailed it. First try.
I mean, I feel like it could either be Kiki's or Eric's. I mean, they're the only two that haven't given stories yet. So good job.
It's a small window because there's only 2 people who haven't told the story.
Yeah, you're right. So at this point, Brandon, we are officially over halfway done with this season.
Wow.
I know.
It's gone by so quickly.
I know, but some of these episodes seem to have been forever.
Tale of the Hungry Hounds felt like it was 5 weeks on its own.
It felt like we were stuck in a crystal ball for all eternity while we were reviewing it. Yeah, we got halfway through. After looking at a list of the episodes, there's a couple here that I don't remember anything about, so it'll be interesting to be able to watch them again.
Exciting.
Yeah, but you remember how I told you there's still 2 incredibly awesome episodes?
Yeah, are they still coming up?
They're still coming up. We still got to look forward to them.
Excellent.
Well, I don't know about you, man, but I've been up all night. I'm tired.
Yeah, me too.
All right, I'm going to bed, man. I'll talk to you next week, okay?
All right. Good night and bye.
Bye, guys.